Alright, so I got some updates with everything that's been going on with the crawler build. I realized that my first few videos with the crawler had a real low production quality. I didn't have very good lighting setup, I didn't have very good cameras, and the videos were really lacking because of this. So over the summer, I've taken the time to learn a few things about making these videos, and I got some lights, some better camera equipment. I set up a little mini studio kind of thing to hopefully improve the quality of the content that I'm going to be making. Now, the last video that I did with the crawler, I did the installation of the portal axles with the metal axle housings, the 100mm shocks, also the Samix high lift suspension links. What else do we put in there? Yeah, that's about it. But so since then, I've done a lot of testing with the truck. I took it out quite a bit. The shocks, I don't really like them that much. They stick quite a bit. They're not very consistent, and they leak like crazy. And I've got barely any fluid in them right now, and they still seem to seep out. So I mean, they're very much they're the hot racing 100mm shocks. They're very much more of a show shelf truck shock. They're more of a show shock, something for the shelf, as opposed to being something you really put a lot of abuse on. So I'm going to be taking those shocks out, and I'm going to be putting in the incision shocks from Vanquish. Also, one of the biggest issues that I found with the truck like this was that it crawled great, but in certain tough crawl situations, I found that the heavy body, especially when running the top piece on it, and then, you know, just because it looks so good, I also love running the fifth wheel in the back. So I mean, the whole body ended up weighing quite a bit, and I think it kind of held it back in a lot of situations. So what I've done recently is I've put together a new body. Alright, so this is a 1988 CK 1500. It's a J Concepts body for monster trucks. It has a 13-inch wheelbase, and it's 7 inches wide. Just so happens to really fit the SCX-10 12.3 chassis very well. I mean, as you can see, the back wheels line up very well for the wheel wells. The body is a little bit scrunched. It's not as thick as you would kind of like it to be, so you can't really set it down as low as I couldn't really set it much lower than this to fill up the gaps over here. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna actually do a custom rear bumper removal, and I'm gonna add a new piece of Lexan going across the back. It's gonna make it look like the shaved bumpers that you see on the CK trucks. I'm also going to be adding the inner fenders to eliminate the see-throughness of the body, especially in the back over here. So it's going to make that cleaned up, so everything should look better in the end like that. I had to cut off the front bumper in order to make way for the HD bumper and the bush bar. I got some new rock sliders, because the ones that I had before were specific for a Jeep, and they had the steps for the 2 doors, which did not go with this truck at all. So I got these rock sliders to go with this build. I also took the fifth wheel off in the back. Now this is a very light body, so it's going to be the RC itself is going to be much less top heavy overall. The protector here, I've not scratched the crap out of the pumpkin or the arms even. The RC four-wheel drive portal axles give a good amount of clearance. I do have to say that the RC four-wheel drive portal axles are absolutely phenomenal. They're very, very smooth. All the gearing is hardened steel. The drive shafts are all hardened steel, or the half shafts, whatever. I've had zero issues with them whatsoever. You do need to make sure that when you install them, you put Loctite on all the screws, because they are all aluminum and they do not come with any Loctite on them whatsoever. So you have to make sure that when you put them together, you Loctite them. Don't just put them in the truck, take them apart, Loctite them, put them together, and you shouldn't have any problems with them. I haven't really gotten hung up on them or anything like that. So I mean, as far as the design itself, it is a little bit old school. It's not as smooth as and contoured as let's say the Vanquish ones, but they do work very, very well, and they give you that added clearance that is quite a benefit going over the trails, where you don't get hung up on rocks or twigs or a chunk of tree or something like that. So I mean, I did quite a bit of crawling with it, and it's really not tore up all that much underneath as you would think. One of the big upgrades that have happened is since the last video, I've taken out the one-piece ring and pinion gear. Well, it was a one-piece ring gear, a locker, and the pinion that went with it. And I've changed it to the Vanquish two-piece setup with the I think it's an 8-screw mounting setup. So we have those inside the front and back. I've also put in the Incision Vanquish drive shafts. These are the ones that sort of simulate a real drive shaft. And important when putting these types of drive shafts in is to put it in phase. So these both, I made sure to put them properly in phase. You can't see this one here, but as you can see, the front one is in phase. The rear one is as well. Now, when it comes to the other upgrade, I did the Samix high lift, high rise suspension links. I did not like them at all. I tried to install them in quite a few different ways, with the small side to the bottom, small side to the top, flipped upside down, and I didn't like any of it. And I was at the point where I was taking them out, about to junk them completely, when I accidentally twisted one a little bit differently. It looked kind of cool, and I did the other ones the same way. And what's weird is it kind of made the suspension roll a little bit more free, like the articulation on the side roll and the one wheel going up and down on its own. It just seemed like there was no needing to put any force or twist in the suspension. Not that you needed to do that before, but it just seems like it's a lot more fluid now. Not only is what it's set up like that, is the suspension articulation seemingly very, very free and moves very nicely, but they also come down low enough where the drive shaft is not exposed at all. So I'm not worried about grinding out the drive shaft, getting hung up on a rock or anything like that. I was doing some very hard technical climbs, and the top heavy body was really holding me back. I was even kind of stupid. I had an aluminum wheel as on the fifth wheel, so I was really being held back by that body. So I'm going back to the same place with this body to see if it helps out even more. What else I've done since the last video is I've changed it from the SCX 10 spec transmission to the SCX 10.2 builder's kit transmission, the one that's 2-speed capable. It's not 2-speed right now. I will do that upgrade in the future. As it is right now, it's still just a single speed, but it's the 2-speed capable transmission. With that, I'm gonna take the lid off so you can see the new electronics. All right, so we've upgraded to the Hobby Wing axe system. I have the 550 combo with the 2700 kV motor. I also, because it's a 3S system and I do plan on putting in the 2-speed, I put an aluminum fan on top. The aluminum itself is going to help dissipate the heat even more, and then the fan itself blowing is going to help out on its own. As far as the rest of the electronics, I put in a Reefs 555 servo. This is it's kind of like the top dog beneath the 777, which runs best if you have an independent BEC. You don't have it running through the EEC itself. Now with the Hobby Wing Axe, you do have a 4 amp ESC and have the ability to put it to 7.4 volts, which is the max you're supposed to run this servo at, which is what I got it at. And it seems to run really great. I was actually very surprised with how smooth the Reef servos are. Even just the sound when you rotate the servo on its own is I don't know, it's kind of pleasant. Listen to this. There's a very, very smooth sound and feel to it when you turn it. I like it quite a bit. It's very nice. So what else do we have on here? So we have the 2-speed capable transmission, the Axe and 2700. We got the Reef servo. I've also changed to these Gen Ace Adventure packs. I got a 4300 3S high voltage LiPo. It is, I believe, a 50C. Yeah, 50C. And yeah, this is a lot lighter than the other battery that I was running before, which was a standard big case 5500 mAh 2S. Now, this system itself, it might be a little bit much for the 3S, but I mean, it's still smooth on the low end, so I'm probably gonna keep it on 3S and just dial in the gearing and everything for 3S. What else? I've also changed the, I was having some issues with the pan bar hitting the pumpkin if I raised the rear shocks up too much to get more up travel in the suspension. And what was happening was the pan bar was hitting the pumpkin, and then when I put this bar in here initially, this bar was hitting my servo. So what I did was I put in a rod end that's got the bend angle in, and that brings it down from the servo. And with the bent panhard bar, it actually clears the pumpkin just perfectly, so I can get the suspension very, very, very much squished up, and there's no interference there. I mean, it's literally a millimeter away at some points where it's very, very, very close, but nothing touches. So everything is free on the full travel of the steering and the full compression of the suspension. Now, the only brass part that I have on the kit itself is I have brass wheel hexes. This is just to make the wheels a little bit heavier when running a lighter wheel. These RC 4-wheel drive 1.9 deep dish, they're stamped steel. They're not billet aluminum. So they're actually light in comparison to some of the aluminum wheels. So the brass hex I find works very good. And the new tires that I have in here are the Hyrax Predators. 4.75 outer diameter with the 1.9 inner diameters. I do have a set of gear heads, 2.2s with the old tires that I was running, the Pitbull Growler 1.9 4.75. The tires are stretched over the rim. You actually see them over here. It's actually a beautiful setup. I like it quite a bit. This looks great and, you know, can do most trail riding pretty damn good. But when it comes to real technical crawling, the Growlers are not as good as Hyrax. So I also got a set of the I think they're 4.9 or 4.10 or something like that. No, 4.10, 4.09. Some I have to double check. But these are the Scalar spec tires with the Method incision wheels. So I got those too. All right, so yeah, the next this weekend coming up, I should have a chance to get back to that crawl spot to give the rest of this a good fair test with the new body on. And then once I've had a chance to really test this stuff out and get a feel for, you know, how the chassis is with all the changes that I've made, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the incision shocks in here. And I do have the spring sets for them, so I can tune the springs with varying spring rates, so I don't have to just, you know, use the preload on the shocks to get all the adjustment. I can actually use these to adjust it before adding or using any preload at all. So yeah, a lot of good things coming for the channel. I'm gonna have some more videos up for the drag car. I'm gonna have a full build breakdown. The car itself right now is pretty much done as far as building it. I mean, there is tuning, tires, and all things that go into building and running a no prep car. But as far as new parts and the design and the car itself is finished, it's just a matter of replacing things that break and adjusting it to run as fast as it can. Another cool build that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to turn a Nitro Jado into a no prep spec car. I mean, it's going to be running on Nitro, but it's going to have the same wheelbase and things like that. That's going to be with the Jado down there. So we're going to build this one into a no prep car. We're going to extend the chassis out so it fits the proper wheelbase for the no prep bodies. Probably going to do a Nova or one of the I think the Hemi Cuda that's just come out. If I have to though, depending on how wide it is with the no prep car tires on, I might have to do a Shark body or a Parma body, something like that. Something that's more slash spec so that everything will fit underneath. And next summer we're also going to be doing some work on the Savage XL street spec and with the Savage XL off-road spec, as well as getting some time out with the drift car to do some drifting. There's a lot coming up with the channel. I hope you guys like everything we got going on here. And if you don't like one build, I probably got a different build that might interest you. So hopefully stick around. We have something that you like. If these kind of videos you guys enjoy, you guys like these kind of RCs and you want to build a community, please like, subscribe, and share these videos so we can get as many people involved as possible. Thanks a lot.